We will discuss about SQL Server command timeout in this particular demo. Please don't confuse this with the SQL Server connection timeout. This is specifically for SQL Server query timeout. I'm going to use database AdventureWorks DW for this demo. What we'll do is like we will reconnect this session and we will have the command timeout set to 10 milliseconds, 10 seconds, sorry. So if you see here, we have this connection timeout and execution timeout. This will basically be 0. What I'm going to do is like I'm going to change this to 10 seconds. For example, in the application, most of the execution timeout value will be set to 30 seconds. But in this case, what I'll do is like SSMS also being an application, I will set the execution timeout or the command timeout to 10 seconds for demo. I'm connecting to database AdventureWorks DW. I'm connected. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to run this particular query on a separate query window. So if you look at this one here, I'm going to execute this query. And what will happen is like I'm basically trying to create a blocking scenario. I've created a table called table1 underscore timeout, and I'm opening a transaction using begin tran, and then inserting a single row onto the table, but I'm not rolling it back or committing it. So that means like it will be having an lock on this particular table right now. So now what I'm going to do is like when I execute this particular stored procedure, which I'll be creating, what will happen is like this particular stored procedure is going to perform an select operation on that particular table where we have just left the transaction open. And what will happen, this will basically wait on that particular session and then it will basically time out. So what we'll do now is like we will create this stored procedure called sp underscore table1 underscore timeout, and this stored procedure basically selects all the data from table1 underscore timeout, and the predicate is s and o equal to 1. So let's execute this, create this stored procedure. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to capture an x event for capturing the command timeout. So we have this X events set ready here. So what we basically have to do is like we need to create this X event. I'm basically capturing the attention here. Whenever there is an timeout, it will be an attention. So I'm going to capture that using this particular X event, and I'm basically writing the X event to the location C drive X events. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to check if we have this folder ready. So yes, in my case the folder is ready. I'm going to delete the existing files, and what I'm going to do is like I'm going to create this extended event session which is named as JB underscore JB underscore X event underscore attention. So we are basically using the event SQL Server attention, and then we are capturing the required details. So let's start it. Now I've created the X event. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm basically going to start this particular X event session. If you look at it, the X event is JB underscore X events underscore attention. So I'm going to start it now. Let's go to the folder location and then look at the X event file. So if we can see here, the X event file is definitely created here. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to mimic this blocking behavior and see what happens. And now if we look at it here, just a recap, I've created a table called table1 underscore timeout, and then I'm opening a transaction and inserting one row, but I'm not committing or rolling back. I'm basically leaving this session open. And now what I'm going to do is like I've already created this stored procedure which is called sp underscore table1 underscore timeout. This basically tries to query this particular table that we have created in this session. And when I execute this particular stored procedure, it basically queries this table1 underscore timeout object and then brings out all the data. So let's try that. So this is going to run for some time because we know like there will be a blocking between 68 and 70 SPID. So 70 SPID will be blocking. So if we see here, we basically waited for 10 seconds and then we were able to see this error, which is execution timeout expired. The timeout period elapsed prior to completion of the operation or the server is not responding. So this is the error that we got. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to check the details as far as DMV sys.dmexec procedure starts is concerned. What I'm going to do is like I'm going to check for all the queries which has a max elapsed time of 9 seconds. DMV query which is sys.dmexec underscore query stats. And if you see here, what we are able to see is like this particular query sp underscore table one underscore timeout basically took close to more than 10 seconds here. So this clearly tells us like this particular query has taken more than 10 seconds, but this one doesn't tell us whether it has timed out or not, but it basically gives you all the query that basically took more than whatever max elapsed time is mentioned here. So in my case, I'm going to execute this, and I was able to understand like this was one execution which took more than 9 seconds, and I'll be working on this further. So normally on a production environment, you can get the timeout value from the customer, and then you can put that across this DMV, and then you can check for all the query that has taken above the max elapsed time, whatever is mentioned, and then we can work on all these things to proactively tune the query. But in order to understand exactly which one is timed out, what we can do is like we can use the extended events that we basically collected. So what I'm going to do now is like I'm going to stop events here, and then what I'll do is like I will insert the data from the X event file to this table and then check this further. So what I'm able to see is like I'm able to see that there is one attention that has happened, and it gives us the timestamp at what time it has happened. And if you look at this one, it basically tells like there is an attention on this particular stored procedure, which is the one that we executed, which is sp underscore table one underscore timeout. Going back to the query, what I'm going to do is like we can have a discussion with the application team. In my case, it was a simple solution where the customer was fine with the dirty read, so we advised them to go for a no lock hint. But what we can do is like in case if it is something that is not possible, then we can look for other things like tuning the queries and things like that. But in my situation, what is happening is like the customer is fine with the no lock hint, so I'm going to modify the stored procedure and then add this hint no lock. And now if I execute this query, I won't be having any issues at all. Now if I roll back this transaction, or let's commit this transaction, there will be no issues. So even with the lock, since we had this no lock hint, it was able to complete fine. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Jai Hind.